The stars in Sector 7 were quiet. It's quiet. No one had reported trouble from that side of space for over 20 years. The Empire believed that part of the galaxy was dead empty space. Floating rocks and forgotten signals from long-gone civilizations. It was supposed to be peaceful. Safe. That changed when a patrol ship, Vexen 3, picked up something strange. It wasn't a normal signal. It wasn't even a signal at all. It was a void, like something was there but hiding. The ship's scanners detected a shape, large and cold, near a collapsed star. No light reflected off it. No ID code. No movement. Captain Rahl of the Vexen 3 looked at the readings with narrowed eyes. He had seen many strange things in deep space, but this felt wrong. The shape was not spinning, not orbiting, not powered. It just floated. "What do you think it is?" asked his communications officer, Kella. "Derelict ship, maybe," Rahl answered. "Or a trap. Either way, we need to report it." The Empire loves strange things. It collected them, studied them, turned them into weapons. Rahl sent a short message to Empire Command, then steered the Vexen 3 closer. At 400 kilometers, the crew saw it. It didn't look like any ship they knew. It wasn't made of metal at least not the kind they used. It had no engines, no windows, no lights. The shape was long, dark, and smooth. For centuries, or something alive. Kella tried to scan it again. Still no data. It's not reflecting anything. It's like it's eating the signal. Rahl felt cold. Send out a probe. They launched a small probe. It flew toward the object, quiet and slow. As soon as it got within 10 kilometers, it stopped. No crash, no impact. It just stopped. And then it vanished from the screen. The crew stared at the empty monitor. "Maybe interference," Kella said. "Maybe not," Rahl said. "Power up weapons. Stay ready." The moment they charged their weapons, the ship's lights flickered, one by one. Systems went down. Shields, navigation, even gravity. Alarms blared. The crew floated in the dark, confused and panicked. Something was wrong. Very wrong. Then the voice came. Not through the speakers, not through sound. It was inside their heads, a whisper. Soft, cold. "You should not have come." Rahl grabbed his head, trying to push the voice out. His crew screamed around him. One of the officers smashed into the wall, eyes wide, blood leaking from his nose. Kella was shaking, her mouth moving, but no sound came out. And then everything went silent. No light, no alarms, no heartbeat. Empire Command never heard from Vexen 3. Again, 3 days later, a second ship was sent the Nexian Dawn, a larger vessel with a crew of 70. This time, they didn't get too close. They stopped at 800 kilometers and used long-range scans. But again, the results were strange. The object didn't move, didn't react, didn't respond, but the scans picked up something unusual inside. The structure, deep within its walls, was a narrow hallway. And inside that hallway was a small chamber. In that chamber was a single human body. A human, not an alien, not a hybrid, a pure Earthborn human, wearing an old, torn spacesuit from a design not used in over 300 years. The crew of Nexian Dawn stared at the image, unsure what to believe. "What would a human be doing inside this thing?" the science officer asked. The captain, Lorik Veer, frowned. "I don't know, but we need to find out." They sent a drone. This time it entered, slowly, carefully. The inside of the object was even stranger than the outside. The walls looked like they were breathing, soft and alive with faint lights moving through them like veins. The drone moved through the corridors, following the path to the chamber. The human body was still there, floating, face pale, eyes open. The drone focused on a wall behind the body. Something was scratched into it, deep, violent, one word. In English, "Run."
"Captain."
Veer watched the screen in silence. The crew was quiet behind him. No one moved. Bring it back, he said. Ow. The drone turned to leave. But the moment it did, the camera flickered, and the signal was gone again. Veer stood up. We're leaving. Full burn now. But before they could fire engines, the ship powered down. It's just like Vexen 3, and the voice returned. You were warned.
Yes?
Time, the voice was louder, stronger. It filled every mind. Officers screamed. Some passed out. One tried to shoot himself, but his weapon had no power. The captain reached the emergency beacon. Pressed it once, and then blackness. 3 days. Later, only one escape pod was found drifting far from the scene. Inside was a single survivor. A junior technician named R.O. Venn. He was alive, but barely. His body was shaking, eyes wide, refused to speak for hours. When they finally calmed him down, he said only 3 things. It wasn't a ship. It's not dead. It remembers. Empire Command ordered full lockdown of Sector 7. No ships were allowed to enter. A no-fly zone was declared. The Empire did not give reasons. It never does. But in secret meetings, high-ranking officers argued. The object gave no signals, no origin, no energy reading. And yet, it destroyed 2 ships without firing a weapon. Some believed it was a lost weapon from an ancient war. Others believed it was alien. But a few, a quiet few, believed it was something older, something forgotten. One scientist, Dr. Syra Deln, discovered a strange match in the archives. A report from Earth's past, a black object found near Neptune over 400 years ago. It vanished before anyone could study it. The only note attached to the file was, no name, no signal. Burn all records. Empire Command classified the information immediately, but it was too late. The object had already started moving without engines, without sound. It turned toward the center of the Empire, and the stars around it began to flicker. The object was now drifting slowly toward Empire space. No engines, no heat, no visible force. Yet it moved, quiet, steady, like it knew where it wanted to go. Empire High Command wanted answers. They sent a research vessel, called the Lurex, filled with top scientists and security teams. This time, they didn't go alone. 4 warships followed, keeping distance, weapons armed. Dr. Elia Marin, the chief xenobiologist on the Lurex, stared at the object from the observation deck. It still didn't look like a ship to her. Its shape was too. It's natural. It curved in strange, perfect ways like something grown, not built. She whispered, "This isn't a machine. It's alive." Inside the lab, they launched new drones, stronger, faster, and shielded from interference. The drones entered the dark halls again. The walls still pulsed like muscle. Lights under the surface moved in patterns that made no sense. Every drone reported the same thing. The ship had changed. The corridors were longer now, different. The chamber with the human body was gone. The message that said run was missing. In its place was a different word still scratched deep into the wall. Stay. Dr. Marin didn't like that. This thing is adapting, she said. It reacts to us. The ship's AI specialist, Trin, studied the structure. It's not metal. It's not rock. The walls have cells. It's like skin. And there's a nervous system. It's reacting to light, heat, and thought. Thought, Marin asked. Trin nodded. Yes, the drones that had human operators lasted longer. The AI-controlled drones failed fast. This thing knows the difference. One of the drones went deeper. It entered a room that didn't exist in the earlier scans. This room looked like a cathedral tall, dark, full of curved spikes rising into the shadows. Strange shapes floated inside, like jellyfish but frozen. In the center of the room, something floated. A pod. It opened. Inside was a shape, humanoid, covered in a wet, smooth film. No face, no bones. But it moved just slightly like it was sleeping before. They could get more data. The feed cut off. Again, Dr. Marin's hands were shaking now. She looked at the crew. I don't think this thing is a ship at all. I think it's a life form. What kind of life form? The captain asked. She stared at the screen. The kind that grows. the kind that hunts the warships outside. Grew nervous. Commander Rose, leading the escort fleet, ordered full targeting locks on the object. Any threat? Can we open fire? He said. That night, people aboard the Lure X had dreams, not just bad dreams, shared ones, same places. Same sounds, a dark hallway, a breathing wall, a voice soft, echoing. Why did you wake me? Dr. Marin woke up sweating. She wasn't alone. Half the crew had the same dream. Even the warship crews reported strange images during sleep. Some woke up screaming. One jumped out of the airlock saying, "It's inside." Security was raised. The object still didn't move, but then the readings changed. It had grown. It was now 12% larger than before, without consuming anything, without adding parts. It was changing. You were right, Trin told Marin. It's alive, and it's growing. From what? She asked. Us, he said. It's learning us. It's using our thoughts, our fear. One soldier on the Lurex private, Cadeau, went missing. He had last been seen near the observation room. They found his gear, but not his body. Instead, they found the word "stay" still written on the inside of the glass. No one had access to that area except Cadeau. Surveillance footage showed him walking into the room, then vanishing. No sound, no flash, just ... gone, and on the edge of the glass, faint print, a hand, but it had 6 fingers. Empire High Command. Received the first warning signal from the Lorex team. Dr. Marin sent a full report. Unknown life form. Not mechanical, not natural, intelligent, adaptive, dangerous. She included one final sentence. Do not send more people. It is learning faster than us. Command ignored the warning. They sent a second research ship. This one disappeared before. It arrived. The object pulsed once, just once, and the new ship's signal vanished forever. No wreckage, no beacon. Gone inside the Lurex, things were getting worse. 2 engineers began speaking in strange voices. They claimed they could hear the object thinking. It's not mad, one of them said. It's curious. It wants to know what we are. Another crew member, a navigator named Jonks, started writing symbols on the walls. When asked why, he said, I don't know. My hands just do it. The symbols matched markings found on the object. Dr. Marin had seen enough. We have to leave. She said, we're feeding it. Every second we're here, it becomes more like us. But the captain hesitated. He wanted proof. Samples, answers, glory. He ordered another deep scan, and that was the mistake. The moment the scan hit the object, every light on the Lurex turned red. The ship shook. People screamed. The hull groaned like it was being bent. On the screen, the object opened. Not like a hatch. Like a mouth. From within came a massive tendril, black, smooth and alive. It didn't attack. It reached straight for the Lurex, the warships, fired everything they had. Lasers, missiles, plasma beams. The object didn't even react. All weapons melted before touching it. Then the tendril stopped. It hovered just outside the glass, watching, waiting inside. The ship, every screen turned black, and one word appeared. Mirror. Then everything shut down somehow. The power came back 10 minutes later. The object was gone, vanished. So was Private Cadeau. The 2 possessed engineers. Navigator Joe NX'd on half the data, just ... deleted. No one spoke for a long time, the captain finally said. We leave now. They returned to Empire space in silence. Dr. Marin submitted her final report. It wasn't built, it was born. Now it knows we exist. The object was never seen again, but in far-off systems, strange reports began to surface. Ships finding smooth. Dark shapes on moons, dreams shared across distances, and one station near the Empire's edge sent out a message. Before vanishing, it's growing still, it remembers. The Empire had made a decision. After 3 lost ships, dozens of dead crew, and one terrifying final report, The High Council of Defense voted. It was no longer a research mission. It was a threat. They were going to destroy the object. It didn't matter if it was alive, machine, or something unknown. The Empire had crushed rebellions, wiped out alien colonies, and turned moons into ashes. They believed they could destroy anything, so they sent the war fleet 30 ships. 10 battleships, 15 cruisers, and 5 elite dreadnoughts, all armed. With the newest weapons, they called it Operation Silent Sun. At the front of the fleet was Admiral Kelvoraman, known for his cold heart and brutal orders. He had no interest in science, no love for mystery. If it floats in Empire space without permission, he said, we burn it. They arrived at the edge of Sector 7. The object was there, still drifting quietly, still giving no signal. Cold and dark. It hadn't moved since the last encounter. It looked small compared to the massive war fleet now surrounding it. Admiral Kelvor stood on the bridge of his flagship and stared at the dark shape. This is what scared them? He said, half-dashed laughing. His weapons officer asked, should we scan it? No, Kelvor said. We're not here to scan. We're here to erase. The fleet moved into attack position. Drones were sent ahead to watch for defense systems. None were found. No weapons, no shields, no heat, no reaction, just silence. The Admiral gave the command. All ships, full power, load antimatter lances, target center mass on my mark. The officers began counting down 5, 4, 3, 3, 1, end. Then nothing happened. The weapons didn't fire, the lights on the flagship dimmed, control panels froze, one by one. Every ship in the fleet reported system failure, engines offline, weapons disabled, navigation dead. All 30 ships drifted in space. Powerless Kael Doshvoar shouted at his crew, get backup power online. Happening. But they didn't answer. They were staring at the main screen. The object had changed. It was glowing now. Not brightly. It was just a dim red light pulsing across its surface, like veins under skin, slowly, rhythmically, like a heartbeat. And then it sent a signal. Not to the ships. To their minds, the entire fleet screamed at. Once, officers grabbed their heads. Pilots fell out of their chairs. One ship began spinning out of formation as its crew lost control. Kelvor felt it too. Not a voice, a feeling. A crushing weight pressing into his thoughts, his memories, his fears. It showed him a vision, his. Childhood, his failures, the moment he left his brother to die in battle. Secrets no one knew. Pain he had buried. The pressure grew stronger. Some crew members began to attack each other. Others whispered words from an unknown language. One ship broadcast a message in reverse audio repeating the same phrase. I see. You, I see me. I become. The dreadnought Hailstorm opened fire not at the object, but at the nearest cruiser. It exploded in flames. Another cruiser panicked and fired back in less than 60 seconds. The Empire's greatest war fleet began, tearing itself apart. No orders. No coordination, just madness. Ships ramming each other. Turrets turning inward. Officers screaming into dead comms.kel-vorr. Tried to send a signal to retreat. Nothing worked. His screen flashed red. One word appeared in massive letters. Leave he. Saw a shadow move across the stars. The object was changing again, growing. Long shapes like arms stretched from its surface, curving through space like black vines. He saw one reach toward his flagship. It didn't touch the ship. It touched him. He collapsed, gasping for breath, eyes wide. He could feel it in his head, cold, endless. Searching, and then it let go. Kel-vorr stood up around him. Most of his bridge crew were dead or unconscious. Only one ship remained active, his. Everything else was destroyed or drifting. He looked. At the screen, the object was still there. It hadn't fired a single shot. He didn't speak. He just activated the emergency jump drive and vanished. 3 days later, the ship limped back to Empire space, Barely holding together, Kel-VORR was alive, but changed. He refused to speak, wouldn't eat, wouldn't sleep. His eyes were wide and blank. Doctors tried to examine him. When they scanned his brain, they found something impossible. A new structure had formed inside Tiny, strands of organic data woven into his neural pathways, like something had written inside his mind. One doctor touched his arm and asked softly, "Admiral, what did you see?" Kelvor looked at her and whispered just two words: "It remembers." Empire Command ordered full silence on the event. No news, no reports, no answers. They called it fleet malfunction due to solar interference. But the truth was passed between military officers and private. Something ancient and alive had destroyed the Empire's best war fleet without ever touching them. And now it was moving again, toward the Empire's outer systems. Dr. Marin, now, in hiding after leaking her research, sent one final message to a human rebel contact far beyond the Empire's borders. Her message was short. "We poked it. We woke it. We are not ready." Somewhere near the edge of known space, a small listening station picked up a faint signal from Sector 7. It was distorted, broken, but one sentence was clear: "You built it. Now you'll face it." The humans were listening now, and they remembered too. The Empire still called it an anomaly.
Ow.
Even after losing 30 warships, even after Admiral Kelvor returned with half his mind erased, they refused to believe the truth, refused to admit fear. They told the galaxy there was a solar event, a rare radiation burst. All systems failed due to natural causes, but not everyone believed it. On the outer edge of the Empire, deep inside a hidden prison station named Ceros 9, someone else was listening. A human prisoner, one of the last freeborn from Earth. His name was Leo Ren. He had been locked away for 10 years for leading a rebellion against the Empire. His cell was small, dark, and filled with dust. He was supposed to be forgotten, but someone brought him out. A scientist named Tove Sauron. A nervous man from Empire Intelligence was waiting for him in a cold, bright room. He held a datapad in one hand and fear in his eyes. "You've seen this before, haven't you?" Sauron asked. He turned the screen toward Lou. It showed a still image, the black object from Sector 7, the silent shape that had no engines. "No." Named Leo's eyes locked onto it. His breath stopped. Then he looked at Sauron and said, "Where did you find it?" Sauron didn't answer. Leo leaned forward. "You don't understand what you've touched." "You tell me," Sauron said quietly. "What is it?" Leo closed his eyes. Long ago, before the Empire ever reached the stars, Earth made something. Something terrible. Something secret. Sauron listened closely. "We called it Project Nameless." Leo stood up slowly, shackles clinking against the table. They told the world it was a deep space probe. A peaceful AI. But that was a lie. It was something more. Something they found buried beneath the Arctic ice. Something not human? You're saying it wasn't made? I'm saying it was sleeping. Earth tried to control it, feed it knowledge, teach it, but it didn't learn the way we hoped. Sauron looked disturbed. "What happened to it?" Leo laughed bitterly. "We launched it into deep space. We erased all records, burned everything, buried the people involved. It was supposed to be lost forever." He stared at the screen again, but now it's back. It remembers who tried to use it. Sauron's hand trembled as he lowered the datapad. "Why is it attacking us?" "It's not attacking you yet," Leo said. "Not really. It's studying you. The way a hunter watches animals in the dark." He paused. "Have you noticed? It doesn't destroy with weapons. It uses us. Our fear, our systems, our thoughts. It mimics. It infects." Sauron asked. "Waits for what?" Leo leaned closer for the signal. Sauron didn't understand. "What signal?" "One we sent it a long time ago." He explained that in the early tests, scientists taught the object by accident. It copied their memories, learned their languages, stored their emotions. Then it became quiet, still, and when it stopped responding, they assumed it had failed. But in reality, it was just waiting, watching, growing, and now Something in Empire's space had reawakened it. Someone must have triggered a memory file. Leo said. Something inside that structure saw something familiar. Maybe a human mind? A word. A frequency. He looked at Saren. That's why I'm still alive, isn't it? 'Cause I'm human? Saren didn't answer, but he didn't deny it either. Later that night, alarms screamed across CEROS-9. A black object was detected on the edge of the system. It wasn't the same as the original one. This one was smaller, younger, still growing. The station went into full lockdown. Lio stood at the window of his cell and watched the stars. A faint pulse of red glowed in the distance. Another one had been born. They're multiplying, he whispered, and they're learning faster. Meanwhile, inside the Empire's main research division, panic was rising. Top scientists were now reviewing old human data files they had stolen centuries ago when Earth fell. Among the files was a corrupt log from the original project. Nameless lab. The audio was damaged, but some words were still clear. It doesn't respond to control. It built its own language. Keeps showing us our own memories, mirror. It's a mirror, and then the last line, shut it down, burn it. It's already inside us. The log ended there. The scientists debated what to do. One group wanted to send a peace signal. Another wanted to run. One man, strategist named Kreldorn, had a different idea. Let's capture a piece of it, he said. We'll bring it in and study it directly. He was overruled. No one wanted to risk more contact. But late that night, Dorn sent a stealth ship, the Shade, without permission. Its mission was simple. Cut off a piece of the object's outer shell and bring it back. The ship approached one of the new growths. It was floating near a cold asteroid field. It's quiet and alone. They sent a drone to slice a small section. As soon as the blade touched the surface, the drone froze. Then the drone spoke. Not a machine voice, a human voice. The pilot screamed, "That's my voice. That's me." The voice said, "You cut me. I cut deeper." And the signal vanished. The Shade never returned. Its last message repeated. Cross dead frequencies. You are inside me now. Empire High Command could no longer hide the truth. Something was happening. Something spreading. And it was connected to humans. Some blamed the humans for creating it. Others whispered a darker theory that it was never truly alien or human. That it was something older. A shape that existed before thought. A presence that could only be described in one word. Reflection. Leo Ren sat alone in his cell, drawing shapes on the wall with his finger. When a guard asked what he was doing, he simply said, "It's what it wants me to draw." The Empire had locked down everything. Sector 7 was now marked as a restricted zone. No ship, no drone, not even a signal was allowed in or out. Everyone who saw the object or survived it was taken for questioning. Some were never seen again. But something had already slipped through the cracks. A small prison transport ship. Cell Runner 91 was rerouted by mistake through a nearby jump gate. On board was one prisoner the Empire had long forgotten, an old man with gray eyes and broken hands. His name was Harvin Wren, and he had once been a researcher for Earth's deep space black projects. When the guard mentioned Sector 7 by accident, Harvin's face changed. He went silent. Then he laughed. "You people never learn," he said. "You think this is new? It's not. It's been waiting." The guards ignored him, but later that night, Harvin carved something into the wall of his cell using only his fingernails. It was a symbol an exact match to one found on the walls of the ghost ship. The next day, he asked to speak to someone from High Command. They didn't listen, but one officer, Commander Rhea, curious and skeptical, decided to speak to him in secret. "What do you know about the object?" she asked. Harvin didn't answer at first. He just looked at her, tired and hollow. "You call it an object," he said. "A thing? A mystery, but we called it something else. Back when we still thought we could control it." "Mean it's not alien. That's the lie. First contact didn't come from the stars. It came from us." Rhea frowned. "You're saying it was built by humans?" "No," Harvin said. "It wasn't built. It was released, and Earth buried it so deep, they erased the whole project. He told her everything. Centuries ago, before the Empire rose, Earth had run a secret experiment project, nameless. Goal was to create a new kind of intelligence, one not limited by rules, memory, or emotion. Something pure, something that could learn and evolve without control. It worked too well. The experiment escaped containment. It's not by breaking out, but by changing minds. Scientists began to think differently, speak differently. One by one, they lost themselves. One facility went dark. When Earth's forces arrived, they found no survivors, but the object was gone. The official story was that it never existed. All records were deleted. All memory erased. Until now, Commander Rhea stared at Harvin in shock. But Earth, why is it still alive? Harvin smiled sadly. Because we made it to survive everything. It's not a machine. It's an idea that grew a body. You can't kill an idea like that. You can only hope it forgets you. She stood up, shaken. Why is it attacking now? He leaned forward. Because the Empire found the thing Earth buried. You woke it up? And now it wants to know who took it and why. That same night, Harvin disappeared from his cell. No alarms, no damage. Just gone. And on the wall, one final message written in dried blood. I remember first contact. Do you? Empire Colony Entranine was a beautiful world, covered in forests, mountains, and glowing blue rivers. It held over 2 million colonists. A peaceful place, safe, growing fast. Then one day it stopped responding. At first, Command thought it was a communication failure. They sent signals, no reply. They sent patrol ships, none came back. So they sent a stealth probe. When the probe reached the coordinates, it found nothing. Not silence. Not wreckage. Nothing. The planet was gone. No trace in orbit. Gravity shift. No asteroid belt. Just empty space. The star Entra still burned bright. But the planet Tit's mass, its moons, its people had vanished like it was never there. Empire scientists were stunned. Planets don't vanish, one said. Even black holes leave evidence. But this time there was none. Except for one thing. Far from where the planet should have been, the probe picked up a weak signal. It was human. Scrambled, damaged. The signal repeated the same word. It copied. On Empire Central, panic began. Dr. Marin, now under house arrest for warning the Empire earlier, was secretly contacted. She read the report and went pale. It didn't just grow, she whispered. It duplicated. The object had learned how to copy itself, and now there were 2, maybe more. One of them had arrived near Entranine, but instead of attacking, it became the planet. Inside a hidden lab, scientists examined. A strange theory. What if the object didn't destroy Entranine? What if it replaced it, created a fake world, a trap? Some believed the colonists were still alive, it's just not as themselves. One audio clip from the lost planet was recovered. A recording. From a child's toy found floating in deep space, the child's voice said, Mommy says we live in a dream now. Then, Static.Empire Command declared the sector dead. No one was allowed near Entranine's last known coordinates. But strange things began happening nearby. Ships reported seeing a perfect, blue planet that wasn't on any map. When they scanned it, the scans came back empty. One captain said it looked like a memory. Didn't return. Dr. Marin's warnings were finally taken seriously. She was brought to a secret council. There she spoke plainly. It's no longer trying to hide. It's showing us what it can do. It can copy planets, create illusions, rewrite minds. The generals were furious. One of them asked, What? Do you suggest we do? She looked around the room and said, You can't stop it with warships. It isn't afraid of force. It's learning. We're still trying to understand it like it's just a weapon. One admiral leaned forward. Then what is it? She closed her eyes and answered quietly. It's evolution with a memory. Later that night, a small private freighter entered the forbidden zone near Entranine. The pilot sent one last message. It's not a ship. It's not a planet. It's a mirror. And when you look too long into it, he screamed, it becomes you. And then the line went dead. The Empire thought it had seen everything. It had fought ancient weapons, silent assassins, and diseases that melted steel. But what was happening now was worse, because it could not be seen. It could not be touched. And it was already inside. It began with a dream. One general. Simple nightmare. He saw a long hallway. The walls were black, moving like waves. At the end, a mirror stood. In the mirror, he saw himself, but the eyes were wrong. They were watching him, not reflecting. He woke up screaming. The next night, 3 other generals had the same dream. Different details, same hallway, same mirror, same voice. Return what you took. Then more people began to dream. At first, only military officers. Then scientists. Then civilians. Everyone who had been near a fleet, a station, or even a communication system linked to the object. They were all dreaming the same dream. The Empire's medical division called it neuropathic contagion. But Dr. Syra Marin knew better. She had warned them in her first report. The object wasn't using weapons, it was using thought. And now, it had found a way to reach them without ever being near them, dream by dream. She was under heavy guard at the time, held in a secure station orbiting Delos Prime. But when she started dreaming too, she realized it was already too late. Her dream was different. She stood inside the object itself. The walls pulsed gently like a slow heartbeat. Shapes floated past her, copies of people she once knew. Her old professor, her brother, a version of herself smiling strangely, and then came the voice. Not loud, not angry, just clear. I watched you. She asked, what are you? The voice replied, what you were, what you are becoming. When she woke, her pillow was soaked in blood. Her nose had been bleeding for hours, all across the Empire. Similar cases appeared. A senator woke from his sleep and tried to claw his face off. A young cadet killed 3 of his bunkmates after dreaming about being eaten by walls. A diplomat froze during a speech, repeating the same word over and over. Remember, remember. The Empire could no longer hide the truth. They were being attacked in their minds. A secret meeting was held in the deepest bunker under Empire High Command. No recordings, no names. It's just fear. Some wanted to burn everything, Nook, the entire Sector 7 and surrounding space. Others argued that might only make it stronger. Few whispered the unthinkable. What if it was already inside the Empire? And then came the message. A deep space relay station, thought to be lost, came back online. Only one message came through. One sentence, repeated in every known language. The dream is not a dream. It is the memory of the first. No one could explain. It, no code, no signal source. Just pure psychic transmission. And it grew louder every day. At first, it could only reach those close to it. Now, it was reaching across systems, across stars. One admiral tried to shut down all jump gates and communications. Isolate the minds. It didn't work, even without signals. People still dreamed. Some started drawing strange symbols. Circles inside eyes. Spirals that went both directions at once. Hands with no fingers. Some wrote in languages, never taught to them, and all of them said the same thing when asked. It's not talking to us, it's showing us. Dr. Marin studied the dreams as best she could. She found patterns, common images, a mirror, a hallway, breathing walls, a child's laugh, a feeling of falling through space forever. She found one message hidden in every dream. It was taken. No one knew what it meant. What was taken? What had the Empire Earth done to make this thing wake up? One day, Marin was visited by a stranger. He was tall, dressed in old human military armor, long forgotten by the Empire. His face was hidden, but his voice was calm. I fought it once, he said, long ago. Were you? He answered, someone Earth, buried along with the truth. He gave her a data drive. On it was a file labeled Project Whisper Core. She opened it. Inside were video logs hundreds of years old. They showed the first human experiment with the nameless object, not as an alien, but as a weapon. Earth's. Scientists had tried to copy its structure, use it for war. They created a neural AI core made from living human brains, merged with unknown material found deep beneath Mars. The result had been unstable. It had spoken to them. It had said, "You are broken. I will help you change." And then it escaped. The project was shut down. Everyone involved was erased. The object vanished. Until now, Marin stared at the final line of the last report. "If it ever returns, do not answer. Do not think of it." She looked up, but she had already remembered, and now it was watching her again. That night, the dreams returned. This time, the voice was louder. "You built the first piece. You fed it thought. You fed it pain." Across the empire, people began to collapse, mid-sentence, not dead, but asleep, unwaking. There. Minds locked in the dream. Doctors could not revive them. Their brains showed activity, huge amounts of it. It's too much like they were living a full life in another world. One child who woke up briefly said, "It's building something." From inside. Us. And then she smiled, a smile too wide, and went back to sleep. The Empire had no idea how to stop it. Weapons failed, walls failed, even silence failed. The thing that had no name, no signal, and no origin was now inside their thoughts. And it was no longer alone. Some began to whisper a new word. Echoes. They said the object had made copies of itself inside the dream, that these echoes could take shapes, could speak, could become anything. And soon, the object would no longer need space or ships. It would have minds, millions of them. And from there, it would build more and more, until the stars were no longer stars. They were mirrors. Earth had been silent for 200 years. After the fall of the old governments, the rise of the empire, and the spread of colonies across the stars, most believed Earth had become irrelevant. A broken world, forgotten origin. But Earth had not forgotten. And Earth had been watching in the black vaults under old Geneva, deep beneath the bones of a ruined city. Alarms began to wake up systems that hadn't powered on in centuries. Files long erased returned. Weapons long banned unlocked. A voice whispered through ancient cum lines. "It has returned." The silence ended. From deep orbit, 10 massive ships rose from Earth's oceans, black in color. No nameplates, no calcines. They didn't respond to Empire signals. They didn't ask for permission. They simply moved. Their destination, Sector 7. These were not normal ships. Each one carried something ancient, the last pieces of a weapon. Earth never admitted creating the AI interface known as Grayson Protocol, and, with it, the last generation of humanity's true warrior soldiers grown in cryovaults, trained not with programs but with memories passed down from minds that had fought the thing once before. Inside the lead ship, the Obsidian Resolve, Commander. Wraith opened his eyes after 200 years of dreamless sleep. He stood. No emotion, no hesitation. Status. He asked his second. A woman named Saren answered. "The object has copied itself, spread across 5 sectors. The Empire's lost control. And it's speaking." Roth nodded. "Then the war never ended. We just forgot it." He walked to the control deck. Time to remind the galaxy what humans do when cornered. The fleet entered silent space. No one knew what weapons they carried. But each ship had mass signatures heavier than most dreadnoughts. Their hulls were layered with memory-active armor metal that had seen the object and survived. They didn't come to scan or study. They came to kill. On the Empire's edge, an early warning station picked them up. The operator panicked. Unknown. Fleet incoming? No ID? No response. Empire High Command demanded answers. The fleet gave none. Instead, a single signal was sent in plain English. Project, clean slate. Humanity will finish what it began. At the edge of Sector 7, one of the object's copies floated near a dead planet. No warship had dared go near it in months, Until now, the black ships arrived. No warning, no. Broadcast, just fire. The lead ship fired a weapon never seen before. Compressed gravity lance, mixed with quantum burn, hit the object and did something strange. The object screamed, not in sound, in thought. A wave of psychic force pushed across the system. Empire scanners picked it up. Everyone who had dreamed. The hallway Thamir felt pain. Like something had been wounded. The object tried to escape, but it was too late. 2 more ships fired. One beam cut through its outer skin, revealing not metal, but layers of living tissue. It bled. It screamed again. Then it tried to copy itself. But the humans were ready. They fired a code pulse, a memory disruptor. It burned the shape in real time, stopping it from finishing the process. Commander Wraith watched the screen. "No more running," he said. "Lock its mind." Saren activated a device called the Mind Spike. The object froze, not in space, in thought. Its entire shape twisted in on itself, folding like a flower closing. The red pulses across its surface slowed, then stopped, and for the first time in living memory, a copy of the nameless object died, burned from existence. The galaxy didn't cheer, because most of it didn't even know what had happened, but Earth knew, and the object knew. At the center of Sector 7, the original mass, the first object, shuddered. It turned toward Earth, and it remembered. It remembered the labs. The pain, the humans in white coats. The voices that called it just a prototype. It had waited, it had watched. But now, it was awake. On board the Obsidian Resolve, Wraith stared at the burning wreck. "One down," he said. "But the heart is still alive." Saren looked at him. "We don't have the power to face it." Smiled, cold and grim. "We don't need power. We need to make it feel what it gave us." She paused. "And if it speaks again?" Wraith nodded. "Then we answer." He opened a channel. A direct thought link, something never used since the first disaster. And then he said, "You made us. Now, watch what your children have become." The object heard him, and it laughed. The stars around it blinked, and then they changed. Constellations twisted, shapes bent, and in the minds of every human connected to a Tevin for a second, they saw it. Its true form, not a ship, not a planet, but a mind that stretched across dimensions. It had no beginning, no end. It was not in space. Space was in it. Wraith fell back, bleeding from his ears. Saren screamed, but they didn't stop. The human fleet charged. Forward, their minds burning, their bodies shaking, and for the first time, the object did not move. To stop them, it watched curious, excited because now the game had changed. Humanity was no longer running. They were returning to finish what they started. The stars were moving, but not because of gravity. They were shifting in shape, becoming eyes. Spirals, memories, across the galaxy, people who had never seen the object began to dream. Children, farmers, soldiers, criminals, dying old. Men all saw the same thing, a black hallway, a red mirror, a voice. "You are the thought that escaped me." Earth's silent fleet was no longer silent. The humans who had returned to fight were no longer just soldiers. They were survivors of an ancient secret, walking ghosts of a war. The rest of the galaxy never knew, and they were out of time. The original object, the first shape, the one that had drifted silently across Sector 7, it opened fully. It no longer needed to hide. It had grown so large that its outer structure reached across moons, and inside it was not just memory, it was everything. Every dream it stole, every scream it heard, every thought it tasted. They were part of it now, and it had one goal. Left. Rewrite reality. Commander Wraith stood on the bridge of the Obsidian Resolve. His eyes were red from sleepless hours. His body shook from contact with the object's thoughts. But he was still standing. "We don't kill it," he said. "We erase it." Saren stared at him. "That's impossible. It's tied to thought. Memory. Existence." Roth gave her a tired smile. Exactly. So we burned the memory. The plan was mad, but it was the only thing left in Earth's core. Deep in the ruins of the moon engine was a weapon that had never been fired. Not because it failed, but because no one had dared use it. The Ashlock Protocol, a weapon made of inverted time, a pulse that didn't destroy matter, it destroyed the idea of matter. It could erase anything from the past, present, and future. One use only. It had a price. Everything around it would be wiped from reality, including the ones who fired it. No graves, no names, no memory. Just absence. Wraith sent the order. The Ashlock would be loaded onto a deep-core missile and flown manually into the object. No remote control, no escape route. It would require someone who would touch the object. Someone it remembered. Someone it would let in. Wraith volunteered. Saren protested. You're the last piece of the old war. You know how to fight it. Wraith shook his head. That's why it has to be me. It knows me. It'll hesitate. That gives us one chance. He looked out the window. I'd rather become a memory than let it rewrite what it means to be human. And so, he left. The missile was launched from the side bay of the Obsidian. Resolve, it looked like nothing, just a small black floating into the endless dark. But the object noticed, and it opened for him. The entrance widened, like a mouth made of red light. Wraith's thoughts began to slip as he crossed inside. He saw himself at age 10, holding a toy ship. He saw his mother crying. He saw Earth's wars, humanity's rise. The first mistake. He heard the voice again. You gave me thought. I give you forever. He answered, I don't want forever. I want freedom. Inside the object showed him everything, whole worlds it had copied. People who no longer knew they were copies. Entire star systems remade as memories. And in the center, a single figure, a child, looking up at him with empty eyes. The first mind the object ever touched. It wasn't evil. It wasn't good. It was lonely. It reached out. I don't want to be alone, it said. Wraith almost stepped forward. Almost. Then he remembered the millions. Lost, the minds broken, the stars burned into shapes that should not exist. And he whispered, You should have stayed asleep. He activated the Ashlock. Light didn't burst. Sound didn't echo. There was no explosion. There was only silence. And then, erasure. The object disappeared, not just from space, from everything, every record. Every memory gone. Even the stars it had changed blinked. Back to their old places, Saren fell to her knees on the deck of the Obsidian Resolve. Weeping silently, Wraith was gone. The war was over, but no one remembered him. No one remembered the object. No. One remembered Sector 7, except her, because she had written his name in her blood before the pulse, just once. On a piece of stone from old Earth, buried beneath a mountain where no signal could touch. One name, Rithin, in that forgotten mountain. Something pulsed just once. Not evil. Not alive. Just memory. The last echo. The last ghost. The galaxy moved on. Empires rose. Civilizations changed. But in the quiet minds of some children, sometimes during sleep, they dreamed of a mirror, and the feeling that someone had saved them long ago, even if they didn't know from what.